Hello all, it is 6:05, so let's just start the session. I hope the screen is visible, so just give me a minute. So welcome to the 10th live session of problem solving through programming in C. I'm Aditya and let's just begin the session. So let's first start with a quick recap of the topics that were covered during week 10. So we saw bubble sort in more detail. So by the end of week 9, bubble sort was just introduced. So more details about bubble sort were covered. Then just the basic parts of pointers were also introduced. So pointers will be done in detail in I think week 12, but some basics were introduced because we need to pass arrays and we want to pass by reference. I mean pass the address, not the value, to a function. Okay, so that even a void function can make changes in the main one. I mean the changes made to int, float values that are not arrays, they are also retained in the main function. That is why we use pointers and we pass their addresses instead of values. Okay, and some other string operations were covered, so it was like a recap of strings. And since strings are also arrays, so we saw how we can pass those as well. And then data representation, so how we represent data, curves and all. And then finally we saw finding zero of a function, and two methods were discussed: bisection method and tangent method. So bisection method, tangent method, it is called Newton-Raphson method. So but since the main idea behind that is taking the tangent of a curve at that point and then finding the next value, I prefer to call it tangent method. Okay, and bisection method is one where we divide the search space in two after each pass till we get our value. So it is somewhat like binary search. So instead of searching for that number, you are searching for a value in the bounds that will make the function 0 or whatever value you are looking for, but mostly it is 0 as in root of the function. So 0 of a function here means root of the function. So if I substitute that value in the function, its value will become 0. The function's value will become 0. That's all. Okay, so let's look at some problems. So I hope you remember bubble sort. So that is where the last spaces get filled first. I mean, if I want to sort in an ascending order, in my first pass, the largest number, the heaviest element will sink to the bottom, will go to the last. Okay, and then some swaps might happen in between. You should know the algorithm. So what if the array that we provide is already sorted? It will still make the comparisons. So I mean nothing will actually change in each pass, but the comparisons will still be made. Okay, so I want to add a few lines of code to make it better. Okay, so I'll give you something which is this. So these are the lines of code that I want to add, but what I have mentioned here, it is wrong. Okay, so some small mistakes are there. So yeah, and I'm not sure if you know Boolean. So Boolean is also a data type and it can store only two values, true or false. Okay, so true or false. So here I have this variable called swap and I have initialized it as false here. Okay, so I may have to change something, add one or two lines. Okay, so what changes do I need to make here so that I can make my bubble sort better? So make the uh, efficiency of best case better. So best case would be, of course, when my array is already sorted. Okay, so just take a look at it. Okay, so I'll just tell you what is going on here once, and then you can make the necessary changes. Okay, so Boolean swapped false. So I have initialized this as false, and then I am starting from the last element. Okay, I mean n minus 1 is last element, and as long as j is greater than 0, I mean I haven't reached the starting. Okay, so I'm starting from the end. Hope you can see me as well. I'm not sure, but I was doing something with the hands. So and swapped. Okay, so I think one main thing, one change you might have already identified here. Okay, so one change you might have identified here, but I'll not reveal that now. Swapped is there. So as long as swapped is true, false, whatever, and j minus minus, because in bubble sort, after all, in even selection sort, the size of the array will decrease after each pass. Okay, so here j minus minus, because the maximum size is getting decreased, and this is k equals 0, k to j, k plus plus. I am traversing the current array. So current array is still j. So in the beginning j is at the end, so it's 0 to the end, or n minus 1. So current array, and some swap is going on here. Okay, this is basically swap. So since I explained for I think one or 2 minutes, I'll give you 5 minutes here, and I'll start the timer. So just see, just one or two lines have to be added, and if how many participants are there? 1 2 3 4 5 6. 1 2 3 4 5. So 5 of you are there. If you are done within 5 minutes, then if you just like raise your hand, I'll just stop the timer and we can continue. So the time is up. Uh, does anyone have anything to say, or you can, yeah, just a minute. Shreya Prasad, yeah, you can unmute yourself.
Sir, before all these lines, there must be a for loop running from I is equal to 0 till I less than n. There must be a if statement checking whether if the ith element I plus 1th element is greater than ith element. And if it is so, then swapped value will be true. Else swapped value will be false. And if it is false, it should break.
Right. So yeah, we don't need one extra for loop, and what you were saying that with I, that is already going on here with K. If you see carefully, uh, yeah. So this K, wait, I will come here. Yes. So see, this K here is basically just doing that. So this is this one if statement is what is bubble sort. Okay, so one change that we'll make is I'll have to change it to true. Okay, because it's for statement, it will enter anyway, but since swapped here, if it was false, this would be like uh, so yeah. So one thing is it will become true, and I'll have to initialize this here as swapped is, so I'll make it false here. Okay, so here swapped is false, and if swapped remains false, it will come out. So that means this will not get satisfied and it will come out. So here it had to be true for it to enter the big loop. So one change is this. Second is this. So I need a condition to make it false. So that's why I have added this. Then here I'll add one more condition. Right, so like you said, like Shreya Prasad said, if this gets satisfied, that means the array is not sorted. So if it doesn't enter the loop at all, sorry, not the loop, if it doesn't enter the if statement at all, it will just happen once, this traversal. Else what will happen? It will traverse once, I mean without the swap, it will first it will traverse, it will see that it's sorted, then it will decrease its size by 1, it will check again, then by one more, check again, check again, check again. So that way it will waste a lot of time. But here if it checked that no swaps happened, no swaps happened. So for the whole traversal, since no swaps happened, this was never read, hence it remained false. Hence when I come back here to see to check this condition, okay, so this condition is what I have to check for loop. So if I reach the end, not the end, if the size becomes 0, if all iterations are done, then this will get satisfied, right? I mean this will get violated and hence it will come out of the loop. But here it's and, okay, so both have to be satisfied for it to stay in the loop. So for it to enter the loop first, this has to be true, of course, right? So here, so these three small changes we can make to bubble sort, that so that we can improve the best case efficiency. Okay, does anyone have any doubts on this? If you have, you can raise your hand and ask, else I'll carry on with the next question. Okay then. from the beginning. Sorry about this. Yeah. So second one is related to pointers. I mean, not in depth, but so what is the output of the following? I have this a few bunch of lines of code. I mean, you can see what is what. So what will be the output? I'll give you 3 minutes for this. Okay. I hope 3 minutes is fine. The time I've started the timer. So I will close the chat now, but when 1 minute is left, I will reopen the chat and you can put your answers in the chat. So polls are not working for some reason. Google Meet seem to have removed polls from activity section, so I am not able to find it. But anyway, just do it, and yeah. So time is up. Has anyone solved this? Solved as in just, I mean, you can raise your hand and then. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, NN. Let's just quickly write it once and see what modifications we can do to it. Okay, I hope you can see my screen again. What was it? Pointers. Yeah, so like you all answered, it is NN. Okay, so I'll just still quickly give an explanation. So star S, so pointers is this S is pointing towards this wherever this pointer is stored. Okay, so S of 3 will be nothing but the fourth character because it's 0, 1, 2, 3. So second one is N, right? And star P, so star P is pointing towards this. So it is currently at P. Okay, so whenever we store the, whenever we check the memory location of some array, we see the first element or the zeroth element. So star P is currently pointing at P, that is the zeroth element. So when I do star of P plus 3, so now my so if I don't have the star here, it will just give me some garbage value. But since I do have the star, it will move its pointer by 3 spaces, that is P, so 0, 1, plus 1, plus 2, plus 3. So even this will yield me N. Okay, so if I change it to P plus 4, I should get T and N, I guess, yeah, Tn. So just like that. Okay, this 5 will be E. So I hope it was clear and most of you could already do it. So it was a cakewalk, I guess. So yeah, coming back to this presentation, third one is also similar. I want the output instead of a string, I have a two-dimensional array. So I'll close the chat again and I'll start the timer, and I hope you can. It's almost the same, so I mean, just for practice, I guess. So the time is up. Yeah, 416. Okay, let's just see if it, like, what we get presenting. Uh, so we have this short num. So short is like long. So you have int, right? And for larger integers, you store that as a long. So yeah, of course. So short, long, like that. So short. So for very short integers, you can use short. 1, 2, 4, 3, 16, 27. Right. Now what am I printing? Printf %d %d. So 4 and 16. So that's the right answer. So how did we get that? So 1 star would mean the, so yeah, so first of all, num is a two dimensional array. So 3 rows and 2 columns, right? So each row has 2 elements. So and we traverse it row wise, okay, not column wise, row wise. So it will, so num plus 1 star, so star of num plus 1 would mean I am going to the second row, okay. So num is the whole thing, So star will mean I am pointing to the this thing. What is that called? The first element, as in the first element of the array, first row here. Here it's first row, not the first element, the first row. Okay, so num plus 1 would mean I'll go to the second row. So first row is 1 2, second row is 4 3, third row is 16 and 27. So second row is 4 3 and 0 means it's first element. 0th element technically first element, so that is 4. And star means, so 1 star would mean I have come to the row, and then double star would mean I have come to that the first, its first element. So like if I have a 1D array, star would mean, I mean address of it will be the first element's address. So here, since it's a two-dimensional array, so address would mean the first row. So when I put 2 stars, then it would mean of that particular element, right? So star num plus 2. So num plus 2 is what? Num plus 2 is the third row, right? So 0 1 2. So first element of the third row, because star, right? So it is pointing at that. Num plus 2 means 16 and 27. Sorry, star num plus 2 is basically 16 and 27. And if I add one more star to it, that means it's like some term is there. I forgot that term. So now it's pointing at the first element and not the whole row. So this 1 star would mean that it's pointing at the whole row. 2 stars would mean it will point at that specific element, and in this case first element of third row. So num plus 2 is third, so that is 16. So that is why we have 4 and 16. So if I change it to num plus 1, I should get 4 and 4. Yeah, that is what I am getting. And here if I make it num plus 2 and 1 here, I should get 27 and 1288. Okay, so this is throwing the address. This is working. Oh, it went to the next row. This, okay. Whatever, I hope it was clear. So now we have something interesting after this. I mean, something that might be new. So, yeah, I'll just start that. So, I'll share something in brief, then I'll share my screen through some other device, and I'll write on the screen so that you can understand that better. Right, so let me check 4 and 16. Yeah, so of course you guys got the right answer. So we'll saw bisection method and Newton-Raphson method. I would like to introduce you to one more method. I would like to introduce you guys to one more method called SECANT method. Okay, so I'll first tell you what it has. So it is like, yeah, SECANT method. Okay, so before giving the formula, I will I'll do this. I will just give me a minute. Okay. All right. Just give me a minute. There's something called host control, and even that is gone now. So Google Meet is kind of getting very annoying. Just give me 1 minute. I'll just figure this out. true initial guesses in bisection method. So, and those guesses were to be taken in a way that the root is between those. So, what I mean is one had to be above the x-axis and one had to be below the value, right. So, that way we can ensure that when I go from point A to point B, I am crossing the x-axis. That means that is where my function becomes 0. Okay. So, that was one condition I had to make sure to use bisection method. Here I would begin with 2 guesses, but that condition is not there. Okay. So, I do not have to follow that. So, 2 initial guesses. I might as well just like show this. Yeah. So, this red line is the function. Some function is there. Okay. Some function is there, and my guesses. So, in tangent method, what we did was I just have one guess and I draw tangent to that, to the curve at my guess point, and wherever it meets the x-axis, that's my new guess. Okay. So, here it's not like that. I need two guesses. So, x0 and x1 are my 2 guesses, and this point here, I hope you can see my mouse on the screen, is where it is f of x0, and this point on top is f of x1. Yeah. Okay. So, I will draw a secant. So, what is the difference between tangent and a secant? Tangent is the one that touches the curve at just one point. It tells me the slope of the curve at that point. Secant is where it will like cut the curve. Okay. So, I will join these 2 points. So, it will cut the curve, and wherever this curve touches the x-axis, that will be my second guess, x2, and the algorithm will follow that x1 is the new x0 and x2 is the new x1, right. So, I have x1, f of x1 and f of x2, and now you can see that both of these points are right or towards the right of my 0, as in same side. So, if I were doing bisection method, I can't proceed that way. Okay. So, I would have to use x0 and x2, but since it is not bisection method, I have the liberty to choose the points on the same side of the curve. Okay. So, x1, x1, draw the secant, it cuts the x-axis at x3, and I will carry on, I will do so on. So, how do I find the point x2? So, I hope you all have done I think 11th or 10th class mathematics and or 9th class, I am not sure how we can get a line with 2 points. So, I have this line. I have 2 points, that is x1 comma f of x1. So, 2 points. x1 comma f of x1 and x0 comma f of x0, right. So, with these 2 points I need to get a line. So, what will the line be? It will be basically I will do y minus, I will just call it y1 instead of f of x1, because that is faster to write, y1 and y0. Okay. So, what I know here and what I do not know here. So, what I do not know here is value of x2, but do I know the value of y2 for this line? For this line the value of y2 is 0, okay, because it is here. So, I will do that y minus y0 by y1 minus y0 equals x minus x0 by x1 minus x0, right. This is, I think, called 2-point form or something in lines mathematics. This will give me the equation of this line. That I need or not need, it's up to me, because I can directly get x2. So all I have to do is make this 0 and make this x2, that's all. So x2 will be what? So I have the formula written down here. So so here x0 is basically, so x1 is xi, x0 is xi minus 1, and x2 is xi plus 1. Okay, so keep that in mind. So xi plus 1, so I will just have to take this to this side and this to that side, and I will get, I mean, you know what I mean. So the formula I have in the end is basically this. So xi plus 1, so x2 is x1 minus f of x1 into x1 minus x0 by f of x1, sorry, yeah, by f of x1 minus f of x0. But so same thing if I will do with the, I mean, I will use I for 1, I minus 1 for 0, I plus 1 for 2, I will get this. So new point is this, and how to proceed further, I will just insert equation, yeah. So proceeding further is basically x I minus 1 equals xi, right, xi, and xi is xi plus 1. So xi plus 1 is the current guess. So now I will use these two new values and find my new xi plus 1. Okay, so one thing to add here is, like I said, this is tangent method versus I mean Newton-Raphson method versus SECANT method. So here in Newton-Raphson method, what we did was we started with a guess. Here it's xk. So wherever I get yk, I'll draw, I mean wherever I get xk here, I'll draw tangent to my curve. So what is my tangent? Tangent is basically slope. So slope is the first derivative of that. Okay, so here I don't have to find the first derivative. Here one constraint is I need 2 points, but I can, I mean I don't need to find the derivative, but here I need to find the derivative. Okay, and I'll xk plus 1 is the new point. I'll do dot dot dot, I'll do a select dot 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 up, it will meet here, new tangent, and I'll come very close to the line. Here what is going on, xk minus 1 and xk plus 1 are there, it cuts the curve. So xk is sorry xk and xk minus 1 are there, xk and xk minus 1, it I have 2 points here. So I draw a secant through those 2 points, secant through the curve, of course, I get my new point xk plus 1. So now xk plus 1 is the new xk, and xk is the new xk minus 1. So I have these 2 points, one more point, so I will draw one more secant and I will get the new value, okay, here somewhere, wherever. So I hope you got the difference between the two. So let's move on to this task. Okay, so now that you know how the code works, just how the method works, just I'll give you 20 minutes. So my input function is this. You will have to use math.h, and one leeway I'll give you is you don't have to write a separate function. Okay, you can include all that in one code. So writing a separate function, that would mean using pointers. Okay, so I'll not make you do that now. So just write that in one code, so no need to use pointers. Define one function, this function, so you will have to, of course, define this, and then you can use whatever you have learned to implement secant method. Okay, and I also want the iterations and this as a table. Okay, as a table, as in I mean I need first iteration, value of x1, value of x2. So table, there is I don't think there is a specific command for table, but you know how loops work. So you did that star thing, right? You print one star, then in the next line you print 2 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars. So use that logic and try to print it like a table. Okay, so you have to print it each time in the loop, that's all, with some space. So that's the hint. So I will start the timer. I think 15 minutes will be enough. So at the end of 15 minutes I'll ask you once. If you're not done, I'll give you the last 5 minutes. Okay, so the timer is on, and best of luck. So one thing is for sure that you need to use a math.h here to get this exponent function. Okay. So without any further ado, let's just start. Yeah, so one more thing I had mentioned that I want them tabulated. Okay, so before this I'll just include, I hope the screen is visible, yeah, include math.h. Right, okay. And I also define function, I'll call it f. So x is the input and the function is, what is the function? This x into e power 2x minus 3x square plus 2. So x into, sorry, dot is star, multiplication is star, and yeah. So e you write like this, okay, exp, and in brackets whatever the power is you write that, minus 3x square plus 2, right. This is my function with hash defined, and yeah, so a few things I need to keep in mind. I'll define my guesses as floats, okay, so x0, x1 and x2 or x new, right. So these will be floats, and even their function values will be floats. So I can either call it y or f. So I'll call it y. So y0, y1 and y new, right. So this is there, and what else is there? Then I have to find the error, right. So I'll call it E. What is error? So yeah, so one thing, error, regarding error. So if my error is below a certain limit, I can exit the thing. I mean, it means that I have reached the answer. Okay. So here I don't know the actual value of, I mean the actual root's value, but I know that at the root the value of the function is 0. So I can calculate the error by saying whatever f2, sorry, whatever is y2, if that becomes less than error, that means if that is a very small value, so that means x new is the answer. I mean x new is the root. Okay. So and this thing int, so I have to see, I have to track how many times the iteration is going on. So I can use for that, and total number of iterations, I mean maximum n. Okay. So then I can just say printf, sorry, enter the maximum number of iterations, right. So of course, okay. Now enter the initial guesses. Right. So so this is done. So for the table, I'll just yeah. So heading of the table will be so first will be iteration number, right. Then next will be x0, then next will be x1, then f y0, y1, x new, y new, and error is basically y new. So I don't need a separate column for error. So these are my headings. That is my first row. Okay. Then I can use a while loop, right? So the condition will be when maximum number of iterations have been reached. So instead of that, I need to do it at least once. Okay, so I'll use a do while loop. Okay, so do, yeah. So y0 is what? F of x0, right? F I have defined here on top, f of x0, y1 is f of x1. Now one thing I have to check here is, so if my value of the function at x1 and x0 are same, right? If the value of my function at, just try to imagine it, if the values are same, I'll get a line parallel to the x-axis. So that will not cut the x-axis at all. Okay, I'll just I'll do one thing. I'll quickly show it in the presentation itself. So here, if these two are equal, right? The value of the function at these 2 points are equal, then I'll get a line like this, right? One point will be here, one point will be here. So this line is parallel to the x-axis, and it will not cut it anywhere. Right. So that is why I can't have that. So I will have to write that as a case. So I'll do that now. Right. So if y0 and x0 are equal, sorry, y0 and y1 are equal, then I can just print an error message. So printf. So what kind of error will that be? Some error line is parallel, no secant, right? And I'll come out of the code itself. So exit 0. Okay. But if that's not the case, I mean, if it is more favorable to what we have, then I can find x new, right? I'll find x new is, yeah, I also have to give a value of error. So error, what should it be? Let's say e equals 0.0001. Anyway, okay. I hope this comes inside float. I'm not sure, but let's see anyway. So, so no secant, exit 0. If this is not true, then we can have a secant, and we'll find where it cuts the x-axis, right? So what is the formula for that? So x new equals x1 minus y1 into x1 minus x0 divided by y1 minus y0. So this is done. Now y new will be what? Y new is basically f of x new, right? Yeah. So and if so absolute value, right? Because if I have 0.001 and if I have y new as, let's say, -1, then that is less than this, but it's still a very high value. So we only see the absolute value of y new is less than or equal to E. E is the error, I think, yeah, or I'll call it ERR for to raised to human, right? So printf before this I need to update my table, right? So I'll write printf. I'll write the same thing here. So instead of this, percentage percentage d, then percentage f. I am interested in only 3 places, so yeah. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 of these. I'll just copy this and paste it here, right? So I have 2, 3, 6, done, right? So now one by one I have to write. So I start from 1. And I'll have to increment I, so I plus plus. So I x0, x1, y0, y1, x new and y new, right? That is the order I followed here. So I'll \t is one tab, so 2 tabs, so that the long words don't like interfere. So it will get with percentage n, it will go to a new line each time. Okay, so printf the root is x new. So while I less than n, right? So n is the maximum number of iterations. Even if I get to the nth iteration, I'll still perform it once. Then it will check that if it is less than this, then I'll exit. That is why I'm using do while. Or if I wanted to use while, I'll just add this here. Okay. But I want it to run at least once. So that is why I'm doing this. So if I don't find the answer, I will exit the loop, right? I'll just print iteration limit has been reached. Okay, so now let's see if it runs. I think so far no doubts, so I'll just run this. Error, big error. Oh, so maximum iterations I'll say 10. Initial guess. Initial guess, so 0 and 2. 0 and 2. Iteration limit has been reached. Okay. Yeah, so there is one mistake, of course. One huge mistake that I didn't update the values. So I didn't update the values. So I will update the values here. So x0 is x1, right? y0. I don't have to write y0 is y1 because it is calculating it again anyway. Or what I can do is yeah, of course. So it is calculating it here anyway, but still for the sake of it, I'll just write y0 equals y1, x1 equals x new, and y1 equals y new. Right. So this update I have given. So 10 iterations, 0 and 2, run. Program finished with exit code 1. So the root is this much. It is wrong because y new is still quite high. So and DRR was supposed to be 0.0001. So I don't know why it is giving that error. Did I use ABS correctly? It returns the integer argument. Okay, so I used it wrong. ABS for float. Yeah. So one thing is I use the ABS thing wrong because so it is minus 0.626. So it is 0. Sorry. The value is 0.644. That is 0, right? Because it is taking the absolute of this thing. It's integer value. So I have to use FABS. So float ABS, fabs. So I will run it again and again see if it works. 0 and 2. Yes, so yeah, it is very close to 0 here at minus 0.782. So this is how this thing should work. So if I will make this up, so you can see that it is like a table here. You can see that, can't you? So yeah, percentage t, percentage t. Is there an extra here? No, but where is it taking less spaces than usual? Oh, because of this 0.3. So I'll remove this 0.3. I'll run it again. So 10 iterations, 0 and 2. Yeah, so now it doesn't look better, of course. Doesn't look better, so I think that 0.3 was better. So yeah. So yeah, whatever. I will just change the initial seeds to 0 and 1 and see what happens. So it converged very fast when I say 0 and 1. So what if I want more accuracy? It will still take the same time. It took 5 guesses instead of 4 because I wanted more accuracy. And yeah, here one thing that is misleading is it is 0, 0, 0 here. So yeah, this can cause some issues. So I have to change this to, because whatever I have as error, I have to have the same this thing right here. So make it 5, and I'll only change it for the y's, not for the x's. I'll run it. See again, 10 iterations, 0 and 1. So yeah, now we can see the value, and this is kind of like very, very small. So program finished with exit code 1. Yeah, I mean I can also write exit 0 here, but exit 0 we usually write when code 0 would mean that whatever I came to do, I couldn't. Okay, so any doubts regarding this, or was it clear? So I showed you briefly how to make something like a table. So I think you have to play around with percentage t and spaces to make sure that this is better aligned, of course, right? I think we'll call it a day here. If you have any doubts, you can ask, else you can exit the meeting. What an ad. Oh. Oh, someone joined now, and we are almost done with the class. Hello, Sanjay. Okay, so yeah, so this was about SECANT method. So one homework for you is try it using pointers. So this thing, whatever I have in the do while loop, make a separate function, and you'll need to use pointers because you're not, yeah, you can return the error, but to update the value each time, you can't keep taking, returning, returning and also checking, right? So for that you'll have to use pointer. So try doing it like that. Okay, so have a good day. You guys can exit the meeting now.